Hi guys, welcome to Bitcoin Bankers. It's been an interesting week this week, looking at the way things have been moving with Bitcoin. I think we should take a look at the markets. Please like and please subscribe. Click the button down below if you want to see more. If you want me to keep doing these, please click on those likes and sharing it around and things. It just helps me and encourages me to keep doing this. Otherwise, I'll just say nah. But I don't mind doing this. I actually enjoy doing this, but it's got to be worth my time, you know, because I'm not getting paid for any of this. So why don't you click that like, click subscribe, and then we'll go have a look at these markets. Cheers. Okay, so we're looking at the Bitcoin price on the daily, and in my last video I said I was expecting it to take a big dip down. There was probably going to be a little up run and then take a dip down. Well, what we got was a big run up, and as usual Bitcoin likes to make everyone look stupid, and it made me look a little silly. So it just keeps staying up in this upper range. We really haven't tested anything in this lower range yet. I'm kind of inclined to bring this bar up a little bit to here, but I still think that's a little narrow. So I'm going to keep this channel the way it is, and maybe the price will just keep sort of playing in this range. The daily's been working its way up quite a bit, but still with no real breakout to the upside. There was an an asymmetric triangle, or a symmetric triangle, whatever you want to call it. Symmetric triangle. That this was playing in between, and it kind of seemed to have broken out, and then it dropped down, and then it's still staying in it. I haven't done that symmetric triangle because I don't think it was really worthy. I just see it more as moving in the upper end of the channel and still moving along. We can see the moving average is coming down. They've cut through the ribbon. The price is still trying to work its way up to this price and break through, but there is massive resistance in this area, guys. It's just so huge. However, Bitcoin is maintaining its price and staying in this range. So Bitcoin is very strong, given the fact that it's really been hammered with a lot of FUD, a lot of people trying to push it down so they can get in at better prices. And I'm talking institutional money here. You got Elon Musk, tweeting his tweets, whatever they are. I pay no attention to that sort of stuff. I think it's just nonsense. And while it does move the market a little bit, I mean, it really only moved it this much. But the thing is, what a lot of people don't realize is when you see on the lower time frames, this was just the price after a good run, getting overbought and selling off. So it really had nothing to do with Elon. It really has nothing to do with all those. This is just price action. That's what it does. And anyone, there's channels out there that keep whinging and complaining about people pushing the price down and manipulation and all this sort of thing. Yes, there is manipulation. It's mainly done by the leveraged exchanges, and just maybe the Bitcoin pools and things like that. So that's where the manipulation's going on. Maybe big talkers are involved with each other trying to manipulate prices there. Yeah, probably. But at the end of the day, the price still does what the price still does. Okay, and when you have a big move, it's a pretty big move, this one, 34 to 39, that's a $5,000 move thereabouts. That's a pretty big move in a, when we're actually under a lot of selling pressure. So it's just natural for it to sell off when it gets a little bit too high, okay, or overbought. That's what happens. Still working in this region, so it's very interesting how Bitcoin's going. I think there's obviously a lot of institutional stuff buying, but I think they're very careful. I think they're expecting the price to still come down. I'm still expecting the price to come down to test this $30,000 mark again. Why? I just think it still needs to sell off a little bit more. This really isn't a lot. I mean, yes, it's 50% or whatever, but I'm expecting maybe 60% at least to test this line again. I think it really has to test this line and challenge this region to show that it is a good area of support, and a very dominant area of support. So that's what I'm still expecting. We see massive resistance, as I said before. We got all the moving averages sort of working their way down. They've cut through this main ribbon. We have the sort of top of the channel here as well. And basically, there's just a lot of people are very, very cautious about buying in right now. A lot of people don't want to sell too much because they don't want to see it sort of cascade down into lower regions. The other thing I've noticed is a lot of YouTubers don't want to talk about this head and shoulders pattern, which I find very unusual as well. There is a head and shoulders that is clearly forming here. That's not a good sign. The moving averages are really still pushing down. Not a good sign. It's bearish. But at the end of the day, lower Bitcoin means better prices. So I don't care if it goes down. Okay. If it goes down to 20,000, great, man. I can get a lot more. I'll be buying my ass off. Comes down to 30, I'll probably buy my ass off, just depending on how the stochastic's looking as well. Very hard to tell. But let's have a look at the weekly. Okay, weekly's still sort of pushing that down. It's kind of starting to reinforce the head and shoulders here. It's not really bottoming out, even though it has technically kind of bottomed out. It's so oversold, but it's still heading down. It's just not looking good. I still think these targets are more than realistic for Bitcoin to hit. Whether they hit them this year or later this year, if it keeps coming down, then maybe by September, August, September might start seeing a move up. Or if it just defies the odds, it could move up pretty quickly and start coming back up into this region. We just don't know. It's so hard to tell. But when you got things like the weekly and the daily showing a head and shoulders, it's still in the lower end of the moving averages. We got this big gap here that we can fill with a stronger support sort of around the top of the ribbon. So I still think it's got more downtime. If we have a look at the monthly. Monthly is still sort of starting to creep down. It really hasn't moved off this for quite a while. There's again big gap here from the current price to the top of the moving averages that just hasn't touched it very often. So at the end of the day, guys, I still think it's got more, at least testing the $30,000 region. I think this region still has to be tested. And this may be the beginning of a much longer bull market. Don't like to say it, but bull markets tend to generally sort of last about a year. They're not as long as, bull markets, bear markets. This was a pretty big one, a pretty long one. Started around, let's call it from this one, about February 18 to January 19, so 10, 11 months. This one here, July 19 to March 20, it's 8-9 months. This one, if we should take it from this candle, January 14 to say May 15, that one was pretty long. So, I did my last video. You should really check out that last video I did explaining just how long bear and bull markets go for and Bitcoin and what they look like, so things like that. Let's go into the lower time frames. If you're a bit of a trader and you want to sort of see if it's worthwhile trading, the 4 hourly is looking pretty strong, like it's going to sort of come up and test this range again and push into the ribbon here. The bands are tightening. It can usually give a bit of spring strength, but it's hard to tell. This is the 4 hour. It can come up on the stochastic and just sell off again. And given the fact that the lower time frames, like the 1 hour, is sort of getting overboard again, it is probably likely we're going to see a bit of a drop down and maybe test this mid-region around the $36,000. So that's been pretty much, for the most part, providing support. As you can see, this region, here, and pretty much here. 36.35 is a very strong area to test and has provided support so far. Will that be broken? Yeah, I think so. But again, hard to tell. It's not that I'm deliberately trying to be bearish. It's just that you got to face reality, you know what I mean? And take some trades where they can sort of show up, but otherwise stay out of the game for the most part. I sort of one of my cryptos that I had in here, it was sort of going as far as it could. I wanted to sort of take some gains while I was there. It was still a little bit down, but I was only $40 down, so I said, yep, time to get out. And just to get my money back into it, to fiat and keep it sort of steady for a little while. So that's kind of where we're up to, guys. The 1 hour, I'm just trying to have a look here. Yeah, the 30 minutes coming down, 5 minutes kind of struggling. So I think over the next 24 hours we could see this dump down quite a bit. I do have a small position in Bitcoin. I sort of got in around here somewhere, so I might just take it out and call it quits. But like I said the other day, it could just take off, But anyway, at the end of the day, I think Bitcoin is just becoming more bearish as time goes on. It's a bit of a slow death at the moment. I'm not saying Bitcoin's dying. It's just death by 1,000 cuts at the moment. We just all have to sit through it. I think once we come down and test this $30,000 range again, we'll have a much clearer idea if it's going to keep going down or if we're going to sort of get this shoot up. I was a lot more optimistic, maybe a week ago, expecting Bitcoin to sort of really shoot up with this daily sort of working its way up, but that the daily here, we go back to the daily, starting to come into this overbought region. There can be some pretty heavy buying start coming into this region, so we might get a pushback up here, test the 40, but yeah, look guys, it's a tough game, and when you're in consolidation mode, it's a very tough game. So it's I'm just going to say that I'm still believe that it's going to drop down. I said that when we were probably here. It did sort of keep going down more and then bounce back to test this, and that's all I can really offer at the moment. Let's have a look at Cardano. That's a drawing that I made there from the other week. Again, we had this dropping down, it was falling nicely, then we had that big pump, we had a dump, and it's pumped again. So yeah, look, the daily's looking reasonably good for more run up. I think ADA will, or Cardano, could still have a good run up, but we'll have to look at the lower time frames. 3 hour, what's what we got, 4 hour. Alright. Still sitting outside and above the triangle, so that's still a good thing. Sitting on top of all the moving averages and the ribbons, so we might get a little boost here in ADA. I'd like to see it come up to around the $1.90 mark, $1.95, and see where we're sitting there. So if we have a look on a longer time frame, weekly, well, there's still been this divergence the whole time, but again, as we know, divergence doesn't usually mean that much. Something you can pay attention to, but when things are this bullish, kind of where it just doesn't have that kind of strength. And I don't think there's anything on the monthly at the moment. No, it's not. So let's bring it back to the daily. Yeah, look, still potential for ADA to have a bit of a move up. I think it could still get a little bit more bullish, but it does move with Bitcoin, so we're just going to have to wait and see. It's just in a much stronger position than Bitcoin, okay? Bitcoin's under all these averages in the ribbon, ADA is sitting right above it all, so it's a pretty good spot to get stronger. Is it going up to these regions anytime soon? I don't think so. Just keep an eye on sort of it reaching this kind of point here, around the $9.90 to $2 mark. We might see that over the next week. Anyway guys, that's about it. Look, Ethereum still pretty much doing the same, still is in this larger triangle, holding pretty strong. Daily's still moving up, so that might be something to look at while Bitcoin's sort of just not showing a lot of strength. Mind you, at the moment they all are running pretty much in tandem with each other, but that's not something that I would always bet on to continue. Again, a lot of the altcoins are looking stronger, technically speaking. As far as technical analysis, they look a lot stronger than Bitcoin. Let's go to Bitcoin dominance. So you can see here, Bitcoin dominance on the daily. It's had this big tumble down. This is basically people moving into altcoins. We had the big flip back, which was the big dump as well, as Bitcoin dumped. It's come back down again, which is why the altcoins are still getting stronger. So we may see Bitcoin dominance drop down again, which means altcoins might have a bit of a resurgence there. We'll just have to wait and see how that goes. Just depends how big this dump really is and how it's affected. Weekly, yeah, sort of coming into a bit of a bottom, should see a bit of a pullback. But this pullback in Bitcoin dominance, remember when dominance goes up at first, it can drive the price down when it's strong. It kind of has this inverse relationship, and once they balance out, then Bitcoin dominance takes over and the price aligns and they move up together and get stronger. Okay. Just having a bit of a look here. So look, I think that's about all we really need to have a look at today. I'll try and come back in a day or two, and we'll see exactly where the Bitcoin's up to. Over the next 24 hours, I'm expecting a bit more of a drop down. Probably test the $36,000 again, and that's about it. You know, it's kind of got this. What happens is that these sort of start to move up and then dump down again. Okay. Kind of the opposite to when it's bullish, it has a bit of a correction and then takes off. When it's bearish, it drops down and then tries to have a bit of a dead cat bounce and then drops down again. Okay, that's just kind of the way things move. If you'd like to learn more, if you have any questions, please put them in the question box below. That's it for me, Bitcoin Bankers. You can always bank on Bitcoin. I'll see you next time. Cheers.